Okay, this video can be broken down now into three different segments, and it's not going to be what you think it is, all right? It's not going to be one of those MGTOW rants of how terrible and evil women are, and woe to the man who has been through such a situation, and, he's such a victim in all of this. That's not what this is going to be. And that story there that you see there, although obviously it's just a story, it's a story that many men have actually been through. Hence why it's actually been made into this caricatured version of this that you see or have just seen right now. And there's 3 points that I want to add or address to this caricatured story that represents the lives of so many modern men, particularly in the Western world. The first point is this. You'll notice at the beginning of the video that he was, even though there's no talk, but from the images you can see he is a man who constantly acquiesced, bent the knee, gave in to his wife, constantly trying to please her. Happy wife, happy life. You see the images of her shouting at him and him with his head down and doing his best to make her happy. That's mistake number one. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want your women to be happy, but going out of your way, bending the knee to constantly try to make them happy, that's a fool's errand. That is a fool's errand. Because now you have put yourself in a subordinate position to her, and women don't want you to be in that position as much as they will claim they want you to. I was explaining this to my wife the other day. The concept of why it's good for a woman to want to please her man, even if it's something that she's not willing or happy to do. But the other way around, it doesn't work. When a man wants to please his woman, even if it's something he doesn't actually really want to do. And obviously there'll be exceptions to this, but I'm speaking broadly. Why is it not tit for tat? Why is it not exactly the same? Because a woman in a natural relationship, in a healthy relationship, is in the subordinate position. A subordinate is happy to serve his or her master. Yes, I use that word very, very carefully. Because even if it's something that is against his or her will, because the pleasure of the master is what is most important. Sacrifices for the master is what is most important. And in this loose analogy that I've just given you, the husband is the master. The wife is the subordinate. But imagine now the master is doing things to please the subordinate. Going out of his way to do things that he doesn't actually even want to do, but just so that he can please the subordinate, he does it anyway. Do you know how the subordinate will begin to feel? The subordinate will begin to feel like they are the master. Do you see the problem now? That's why it's not tit for tat. That's why the rules cannot be the same for both of us. And in this caricatured story that you saw, this guy was constantly trying to please the subordinate. Yes, ladies, you go out of your way to choose your superior in every way possible when you are choosing a husband, whether it's him being taller than you, stronger than you, more confident than you, richer than you name it. You go out of your way to choose someone who is better than you. That, in the analogy I have given, would make him your master and you his subordinate. If you don't like it, then choose a man who is inferior to you on all of those metrics. Shorter, weaker, poorer, less confident, etc., etc., etc. And then we can have a different discussion. But of course you would never do that. The final 2 points that I wanted to pick out from that story you've seen there, 2 things. The lying to the children, first one, your dad's gone off. He's abandoned. This is so common. This is so common amongst women who initiate divorce in order to self-preserve their own image in front of the children. Even though they initiated the divorce, they will tell their children that dad was the one who abandoned you. Ask me how I know. This is so common. Dad abandoned you. I initiated divorce, but dad abandoned you. He left you. It's his fault. He's the demon. And she slowly but surely poisons the minds of the children, infects them until they grow up and they figure things out for themselves. As a judge once said to me, he said, when I was going through some issues in court a few years back, he said something very profound. He said, you know, one day the kids are going to grow up and they will be old enough to figure out for themselves who the real problem was. So be patient if you're a man who's going through this situation right now. After that, the delusions of women in online dating or marriage, if you're in the Muslim world, you saw that wail at the end with her delusions. And honestly, there's many reasons why I have founded No Strings Nikah. This is one of them, in that when a woman who is in a situation whereby she's not as desirable as she once was comes with all this laundry list of demands, she's just not gonna find that guy. And then she's going to end up committing zina, and the guys will end up committing zina because nobody's coming to some type of meeting in the middle. But when you can change the frame and a woman understands, okay, I've got kids, they're my priority, I'm older, I don't want any more children, so another man who comes in is not going to get any more children from me. I have my own thing going on. Fine. If that's the case, then I will accept that marrying a man on a negotiated nikah contract. A negotiation. Fine, he can't give me everything that I want, but I understand that I'm not giving everything he wants either, because I want to continue with my business, working, kids are my priority, fill in the blank. That's why NSN was created in the first place. And you can download No Strings Nikah on the App Store or Google Play now.
A mother was describing to me her daughter who got married at 18, divorced at 25, married young, divorced young, and got remarried at 26. And she said to me, you know, my daughter's now as happy as can be. And some people might look at that first marriage and say that it was a failure, but I look at it as a complete success. I was able to protect the chastity of my daughter during a very turbulent period in her life. And when they grew apart, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided a way out for her and provided someone better for her than him. And I was really happy that she looked at it like that, because until our culture reflects the value that divorce is better than zina, we are going to have a very difficult time raising, our children in the most hedonistic generation in American history or even the world.
I mean, as uncomfortably as that sits with me, the brother is absolutely right. Divorce is better than zina. I've mentioned this a number of times on my streams in the past, that the overarching concern of the religion is the protection of the private parts. This is the number one concern of the religion. And going through divorce, 2 divorces, 5 divorces, is still better than zina. And the brother is absolutely right. And too many, particularly ethnic parents, will prioritize their children's education and careers and so on, and actually physically get in the way of them getting married. What do you think your daughters are doing? Billahi, tell me, what do you think your daughters are doing? What do you think they're getting up to? Especially when the daughters know that you are not on board with them getting married so young. They're getting their backs blown out, guts dug out. I hope that makes you feel uncomfortable, because that's exactly what's going on. So as uncomfortably as it sits with me, that divorce, because of the whole divorce thing, he's right. He is absolutely right. If you so happen to grow apart, well, you know what? At least you were able to enjoy each other's company in halal in the interim or during that period of time that you were together. This is better than the alternative, zina, fornication, sex outside of marriage, because this is how the denigration of a society begins.
I'm just going to say this one time. You cannot expect your spouse to be in their best physical shape when you don't help around the house, look after the kids, or give her the time to actually do something for herself.
SubhanAllah, seeing a video like this from a Muslim sister, niqabi no less, It just reminds me of the feeble, weak nature of woman in general. How weak and feeble she is. How intolerant to stress she is. Imagine a man turning around and saying, if you want me to be able to, how do you expect me to be able to provide for you when you yourself are not working and contributing towards the bills? Now, I know a lot of families are, both partners are contributing and working because just the situation that they find themselves in. But I just want you to imagine a man coming out online and just saying that. Just saying it. Can you imagine the uproar? Because that's the equivalent in reverse. How do you expect me to be able to pay for the bills and the house when you yourself are not working? How can I? There would be bloody uproar, blood on the streets from the women. So I say to you sisters this, and I say to the sister who made that video as well. No, he does not need to help you around the house so that you can get your fat ass into shape. And I'm not speaking to the niqabi sister now, she's clearly not fat. All right, but that's not an excuse. In fact, if you did the housework properly, you probably wouldn't be a fat piece of beep. Just do the housework better, scrub harder, for longer. You might tone your arms in the process. Excuses, wallah excuses.